I want you to keep this in mind. Nobody wants to wake up in the morning and run for 16 kilometers straight. It's not what I had in mind. Well, I mean, it is, but it's not what I prefer to do. That's why you wake up, lace up, and then you just run. And the rest takes care of itself. Mornings like this where I ask myself, why did I sign up for another half marathon? I've already done one. Then I realize, I have nothing better to do. Today's video is going to be trying out the HYROX style workouts. I don't do the full thing in today's video, but I create sort of my own shorter version with 5 different exercises in between. And also, I've been really just enjoying deadlifting lately. And by lately, I mean around the last 2 months. I already did my 1 rep max testing last week, which I didn't get recorded. I did get some clips recorded from my social media, just like my stories and whatnot. I'm going to do another deadlift session and bring you guys along to show you sort of my, my warm up for the deadlifts, how I build my sets up. I want to show you guys my deadlifts. I want to show you guys the HYROX workout. And of course, I'll take you out on a bit of a longer run as we get closer to the half marathon. I mean, we're still, I think we're still 8 weeks away or so. But yeah, we got a 16-kilometer run today. And then next week, we're going to do a 20-kilometer run, which is should be fun. But anyway, today's a perfect day. The temperature is beautiful. I will take the DJI Action 4 along with me. And the reason why I'm showing you this as well is because people on my social media, they seem to think that I'm carrying my phone on a selfie stick, and they kind of just like poke fun at the fact that I'm running with a selfie stick. And you can see my comments where I'm like fighting for it to not be considered a selfie stick, because it's not. It's the actual handle that comes with the action camera, and I think people forget that that's exactly what it was made for. It's for carrying a camera around while you're in action, whether it's surfing, snowboarding, skydiving. It is not a selfie stick. It is purely an action camera handle. That sounds way cooler and way better than selfie stick. It's not a selfie stick, okay? I'll tell you one thing, the mornings are getting cooler and the evenings are getting earlier. Those are the 2 things that I'm noticing lately, over the last week even. And not to say that I'm excited, but it has been extremely humid for like a month straight. Not too fond of the humidity. I like the heat, let's say. I like it sunny, but I don't like when everything is just sticky and damp 24/7. It makes people a little more on edge, a little more irritated. And I've noticed that even with myself. This morning, it is only 14 degrees Celsius, which is perfect running conditions. It makes it easier to want to train, especially on mornings like this morning. The sun necessarily isn't beaming on you. There's a little bit of a breeze, and just that little edge of being that much cooler allows you to run that much harder and longer. And I think it makes a huge difference when it comes to your training, because when I trained for the half marathon in the spring, things started off cold in my training and progressively got warmer. But even in early May, it wasn't that warm. I remember it still being pretty cold in the morning, the morning of the actual half marathon. But yeah, I mean, on a side note, I guess if I had to mention something else, not being in a relationship, let's just say, maybe I'm just not used to it, but life seems a little more boring. Maybe it's just lonely, but I'm never someone who really recognizes loneliness because I'm a very introverted person, and I'm pretty good at keeping myself occupied, but I just find those moments where you're not in the mood to do anything, but yet you want to do something and you can't really think of anything. Sometimes when you have someone else, they'll have something that they want to do that you can do together or tag along if they're going somewhere or whatever. So, you know, there's just some days where it's like, you know, I feel like I should be outside, or I feel like I should be going to do something right now, but you know, I'm totally blanking on what to do, and I'm just at home, you know, whether it's editing this video or, you know, that's what life has been for me lately. But yeah, so anyway, before this run, I'm finishing my coffee with honey as well. The honey is about 2 tablespoons of honey for some carbohydrates before the run. Now, one thing that I find helps me with my runs, and those of you who aren't familiar with running, or maybe you're a beginner runner, this will definitely help you. When you begin your runs, begin them super easy. You know, treat the first couple kilometers even as just like a warm-up. Even though they're a part of the run, treat them like a warm-up, because you'll be able to make up for that later on in the run, because you want to progressively get faster as the run goes on. So the longer the run is, the longer you should wait to keep picking up speed, because if you don't, you know, you definitely don't want to burn yourself out in the beginning, you know, and burn out too early and then not have anything left in the tank. You want to be able to have a decent amount of fuel and effort left in the tank when you get to those last few kilometers.
We're just about halfway there, I would say. I forgot my watch, so I have to use my phone to track the run, and it's in my fanny pack. But not looking at my pace, not looking at how far I am actually helps to a certain degree, in my opinion. Well, my headphones did die, but we've got about 6.5 kilometers, I think. An abandoned house. An abandoned house next to all these really nice houses. It's kind of weird.
All right, a beginner HYROX workout. Now, obviously earlier I showed you guys what the actual HYROX was. You can go back and pause the screen there. But essentially, I was introduced to HYROX by Nick Bear's channel. Well, he's competing in a HYROX competition, and I was sort of intrigued, right? I'm really into HIIT style workouts. I do a lot of HIIT in terms of core and cardio. I do a lot of HIIT running. So I'm like, why don't I give this a try? Because it's sort of a combination of those, you know, longer distance runs. It's not just your short 1-minute sprints. It's like 1 kilometer, and then you have an exercise in between each kilometer. So I stuck with 5 kilometers because I didn't want to be discouraged by trying to just jump right into 8 kilometers with an exercise in between. You know, and I chose my own exercises as well, stuff that I'm familiar with that I can do. So, you know, the kettlebell swings, hanging leg raises, farmer's carry, rowing, the lunges, all that stuff is stuff that I'm used to. So I figured, since I'm already good at it, that'll be good to throw in the mix. But I think the biggest challenge with this workout was keeping your head in the game in the very beginning, because it can be you know, the whole time I was thinking I've got a lot to do. You know, this workout ended up taking me 50 minutes or so, you know, but it made me realize in the beginning, I got to take it easy. You know, I can't just jump into my fastest kilometer, because you think, oh, it's only 5K that's broken up. You know, I can run a pretty fast 5K, but it's a lot different, you know, especially when you throw those farmer's carries in there and those lunges that really exhaust the leg muscles, and you go back into your running. You know, after the hanging leg raises, my hip flexors were pumped and exhausted, and then therefore made that next kilometer even harder. So I highly recommend, if you're going to do this, to, you know, get into the workout slow and don't do 8 rounds. You know, do what I did and just go with 5. But I highly recommend you give this workout a try, or at least something similar. I loved the long interval sessions. It absolutely is something I'm going to continue to do, and maybe someday compete in a HYROX competition. But anyway, that is this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week.